Learning English, or any language for that matter, can feel like you're climbing a mountain with no summit in sight. You study hard, watch videos, learn new words, but progress feels slow and you are stuck. Your improvement has plateaued. Well, you're not alone. I've been through this myself as well. But in this video, I'm going to tell you about 10 common obstacles and how to get over them in order to take your English to the next level. Number one is that you are stuck in your comfort zone. You enjoy studying English, but you always do the same things, the things that for you are easy. In my case, this would be listening to podcasts because I don't really have to make any active effort. But if you're only doing the same things over and over again, then how do you expect to improve in your speaking, for example? So basically my message here is to try to change your way of studying every now and again. Try to read different types of articles. Try to read a book. If your issue is with speaking, then speak to yourself or call someone that you know speaks English. Have a chat with ChatGPT. Basically, the first thing is to go out of your comfort zone and challenge yourself and see if the progress improves from there. Number two is that you're not practicing enough speaking. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you want to speak English, you need to speak. It's not enough to just watch these videos, listen to podcasts, read articles and stuff like that. You actually have to practice the muscle of speaking, because only by doing this will you know where your weaknesses lie. Only by doing this, you'll know what vocabulary you need to work on, and at the same time, you'll be improving your pronunciation and you'll be realizing what errors you need to correct. So if you're not already speaking on a daily basis, this is something you need to fix. Number three is that you are afraid of mistakes. I've heard this so many times that people feel embarrassed, they feel ashamed if they're not able to get their message across in English. And if they make a mistake, then this will discourage them from trying to use phrasal verbs, idioms, and more advanced grammar. So honestly, I think a good thing to think about is that usually if you're speaking to English native speakers, they probably don't know any other languages. I'm an exception in this, but between my friends and family, none of them speak any other languages. So you are already kind of ahead of them. So if you are making mistakes in their language, English, don't worry about it. You can have a laugh about it and it will make it much more memorable. So then you won't make the same mistake again. So you cannot be afraid of making mistakes. I know it's easier said than done, but think of speaking English like a moment to have a laugh and to have fun. And if you make a funny mistake, you can laugh about it and bond over this mistake. So yeah, don't worry, be happy and make mistakes. Number four is that you're probably focusing too much on grammar. At least this is the case when you're at school or you're studying in a more traditional method. Many of my students, in particular from Spain or France, told me that their teachers didn't really speak to them in English, but they knew all of the conditionals, the past simple, the present perfect, so they knew everything on paper and they could ace a grammar test. But, you know, English people, native speakers, we don't really learn grammar. As an English teacher, when I started teaching English, I was like, oh my God, what is the past simple? What is the second conditional? I had to learn it myself because of course it's useful to know this grammar, but I think you only need to know the basics, and then from there, the way to practice this grammar is through conversation, through immersion, and through seeing how other advanced speakers or native speakers use the grammar without thinking about it as grammar, just thinking about it as communication. Number 5, I mentioned immersion before. You need to immerse yourself in English. You need to surround yourself in an English-speaking environment. And of course, if you're not living abroad and you're not in constant contact with other English speakers, we need to artificially manipulate this. By that, we can switch your languages on your computer, on social media, on your phone into English. That's a little step. We can read the news, read books, read everything in English. We can also WhatsApp and text your friends in English. Whether they are native speakers or not, it's still good practice to get used to using the language. So, in other words, the objective should always be to surround yourself in English. So every single day, you are exposed to the language. So then this will allow you to stop thinking in your mother tongue and translating into English, because you'll have so much contact with English that it'll start to just come naturally and things will just sound right. It sounds a little bit strange, but it's true. The more you see, listen, and watch English, the easier it will be for you to start using it. Number 6 is that you don't have clear goals. Saying, I want to improve my English is fantastic, but it's not very clear. It's very vague, and I think it will help you in your progress if you are more specific and you can set goals based on a SMART methodology, which is specific, measurable, what else? Achievable, relevant, and time-based. So think about your goals for English. Do you want to have meetings in English? Do you want to write better emails in English? Do you just want to understand everything when you're watching a Netflix show? What exactly are your goals? And I try to make it time-based. So by the end of this year, I want to feel much more confident when I use English at work. And then we can measure it by how many meetings you have in English, for example. So goals, they're not 100% necessary, but I think they help a lot to remain focused and remain driven and stick to your objectives, like with New Year's resolutions. If you can measure your progress, you're much more likely to continue with these daily habits, which will help you achieve the overall goal of improving your English. Number 7, you might be comparing yourself to others, and this is distracting you from the main goal of improving your own English. So we're all guilty of doing this as human beings. I'm guilty of doing it with other creators, and I'm thinking, why have they got so many followers? Why have they got so much engagement? Why can't that be me? It's natural, and I think it's almost impossible to avoid, but the number one most important thing is to focus on yourself. Think about number 1. You have to be a little bit selfish with this, and I think it's a good idea to keep notes of your achievements when you have actually accomplished your goals. So then you are really focusing on your own progress rather than comparing yourselves to other people. And maybe a little bit of friendly competition. Let's say you are studying with a friend who has a similar level of English to you. If then you're kind of motivating each other and competing with each other, this could be a great way of comparing yourself to other people. But in general, I think it's best just to focus on your own progress and how you can improve. So think about number 1. Number 8, and arguably the most important point, is that you're not enjoying the process. Learning a language should always be fun. You have to make it fun, or you're not going to be consistent and practice on a daily basis. Because in my case, when I've learned Spanish, I've really enjoyed it because I immersed myself in the culture. It allowed me to practice with my girlfriend and her family, and all of this is very rewarding and it's very motivating. So how do I make learning languages fun? Well, I treat it as a bit of a drama class almost. I remember at school when I was first learning Spanish, I pretended to speak like Mexican people that I saw on a TV show. And for me, I found it amusing. I found it funny. And then later on, I tried to kind of imitate and copy other people's way of speaking. And it's enjoyable. It's fun. I like doing it. In your case, what do you enjoy about language learning? Each person will be different, so you need to find what you like doing and then do it more often. And that way, learning a language will become a hobby, something that you look forward to doing. With watching these videos, maybe it's a way of just chilling out, unwinding and disconnecting. I hope, fingers crossed. But the message here is to try to enjoy the process by doing things that you already enjoy. If your hobby is football, watch football in English. If you really like true crime documentaries, watch true crime documentaries in English. And then you'll be killing two birds with one stone and little by little continuing to make further progress. Number 9 is that maybe you're not reviewing what you learned. It's fantastic to have lots and lots of input, to watch my shorts or other short videos to learn phrasal verbs, idioms, pronunciation, but usually if you just do something once, you're not gonna remember it. It's gonna go in one ear and out the other ear. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to repeat, review, revise, and continue to practice. Because my memory's not great. I forget words all the time, even in my mother tongue, English. And the only way that we can fix this is by reviewing. And we can maybe do this with spaced repetition, flashcards, using Anki app or Quizlet, or you can take notes of new words that you learn, put post-its around your house. So then you're constantly going to be getting this repetition and you're going to be reviewing the words. Another way of doing it is just in your mind, if you've learned new words that week, try to remember them. When you're going for a walk or you're at the gym, think, ooh, I learned how to say, I can't be bothered in Spanish. What was it? And if you don't remember, look it up. That way you are reviewing it. So make sure you are reviewing what you learn and then you'll be able to use it in a real life conversation. Finally, number 10 is that perhaps you are expecting instant results, quick results. There are plenty of YouTube channels of people saying, I learn English in 10 days. No, you didn't. You're lying to people. So learning a language, everybody knows it takes a very long time and a lot of input and a lot of immersion and effort. And I think that if you don't use it, you lose it. I get rusty with my Spanish. Nowadays, I don't really use Italian or Portuguese, but I used to in the past. And if somebody was asking me a question in Italian or Portuguese, I'd probably still understand, but I wouldn't know what to say. I think I'd go blank. And this is because you need to make sure that learning a language, or English in this case, is going to be a lifetime activity. You have to constantly have exposure. You have to start living in English. Because if not, you're gonna forget. And it's amazing to have goals, but we always need to continue to stay on top of our skills. Because if not, they're gonna get rusty, we're gonna forget things. So what I want to tell you here is you need to realize that you're constantly going to be studying English. And I don't mean studying like with a book and writing notes, but you always need to be using the language or it's gonna leave you. It's like going to the gym. If you stop working out, you will lose muscle. The same thing happens with a language. So it might not be what you want to hear because you may have seen a title for a YouTube video saying, I became fluent in English in 10 days. Maybe, who knows? But then you still need to stay on top of it and continue maintaining this level. But you can do it! In English, we have a lovely expression, a lovely phrase, and it is that practice makes perfect. And this is great, but it's a little bit false, because I think it's much better to think that practice makes progress, that the more you practice, the more you are going to progress. So go out of your comfort zone, try new ways of learning, speak, speak, speak. Don't be afraid of mistakes and enjoy the process. This is the key thing to take away, is that you need to be practicing a lot, and in order to practice a lot, you need to be enjoying what you do. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. Let me know in the comments what you're doing to improve your English, and do you notice that your English level has stagnated and you are stuck in the language? If so, go on my video description, sign up to my newsletter, and you'll have access to all of my tips and lots of dialogues, conversations, quizzes, all for free. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!